background, new scene, matches my top. Yes, I have thought about that. You know, yeah. Anyway, into the video. I'm going to be talking about all the traits of autism that I just not talked about. I'm going to talk about them because they need to go out there and they need to go out there into the world. Like if you like the video and comment and follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram and DM me if you don't want to put anything in the comment section about what you want to see and any questions you might have. DM me on Instagram because it's private. There we go. Into the video. Number 1. Fidgeting is a major thing that really isn't talked about. I'm going to do an extra video about this because autism and ADHD kind of go together. A lot of autistic people have ADHD. I don't. However, I do have traits of ADHD, like I do move my hands a lot, I'm always playing with my hair, I'm always playing with my ears, all this I do all that, and I do have an inability to concentrate, which is also an ADHD trait. In a conversation, I can't, basically I just drift off and I just like think about my own things. I just nod my way through a conversation, nod and say yes. It's always worked for me, and I'm deaf as well, so it really does work because half the time I can't really hear what people are saying anyway. A lot of autistic people also have ADHD, but there's a lot of ADHD people who have a lot of traits of autism, but it's because they think that it's the same, but they're not. Like, autistic people have a separate brain. Autism is like a bad word to people that diagnose people, what they're called, and people that diagnose you, them. It's like a bad word. They typically don't want to diagnose you with autism, so they diagnose you with ADHD because you probably do show traits of ADHD, like me. If you're sat there with ADHD thinking, why do I have all these autism signs? Probably because you're just autistic. But obviously there is a lot of ADHD people that just have ADHD, not autistic. But I'm just saying, if you do have like a lot of autistic traits as well as the ADHD traits, you are probably autistic with ADHD. Yeah, anyway. Tip number 2, not tip, it's not what I'm talking about tips for. I'm talking about traits here. Oh my god. I'm starving. Oh, I'm starving. Right, anyway, right. Number 2, problems with English. Now, again, you might be thinking, you're just dyslexic. No. Autistic people have problems with English. I am not dyslexic, but I have a lot of problems with English. Some is due to the fact that I am deaf and I didn't wear hearing aids in primary school, and obviously I missed out on a lot of phonics and all that. So I do have a few problems with my English, like at school, like educationally. But there is a bit of it that's down to my autism. Like reading, when I am reading, I literally describe this the same way I described it when I was about 5, and that's basically, it just don't go into my head. When I read a page, it don't go into my head. I can read it, I can say the words, but it just does not transport into my head. Now, it kind of does a little bit, but I have to read the page like 4 times before it does do that. So, yeah. Also, some autistic people struggle to put themselves in other people's shoes. So when they're doing like English GCSE and it's like, how does so-and-so feel in this particular situation? An autistic person will struggle because they cannot, I'm not going to say they cannot, because they can because I can put myself in other people's shoes, but sometimes in some instance I'm just like, what? Who is doing something, and it'll be doing something really normal, like putting the shoes on, and it'll be like, how do they feel? Well, I've no idea. It'll be something like that. And that's why I really did struggle, whereas someone else could possibly figure out how someone would feel while they were putting the shoes on. I'm talking gibberish again. Anyway, question number 3, worrying and intrusive thoughts, and just worrying basically, because it is something that's not really spoke about, that I have not heard. I might be looking at the wrong sites here, but I've not heard it. I worry like an absolute crazy person. If I'm not worrying about something, I'm basically just not awake. In fact, I probably worry in my dreams because I am constantly worried or stressed about something that's not even existent. To be fair, I'll be worrying that I'm gonna die. I'll be worrying that I don't know, something might happen during that day. As in, like, it can be really small things like I might fall, or I'll be worried about a social situation. I am always worrying about something, and it does get quite intrusive, and it's like a thought. It's thoughts that cannot get out of my head, and sometimes it literally I'm gonna explode basically. That's all I can say about that. And a lot of it's not really talked about because it's like kind of OCD, but it's not OCD. It is OCD. That is a massive OCD trait, but it's an also a trait of autism. So yeah, an example of like an intrusive thought would be something that I can remember quite vividly. Basically, I went to America when I was younger, and all I could think about, so it's every child's dream to go to America, and all I could think about was dying because I saw this girl who had cancer, basically. This little girl, she was with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and my mum basically told me what it was, and because I was like, why she got no hair? It's all I thought about. I went to sleep thinking about it, I woke up thinking about it, and it made me quite upset actually that I was in this place that I probably wanted to go for a long time because it was Disney, and all I could think about was death. So that's nice. Anyway, yeah, I'm always worrying, which kind of links in with the next problem trait, sleep problems. I have always kind of struggled. I'm quite a lazy person. I do enjoy my sleep, and I can get to sleep if I'm not worrying about something. But because I'm always worrying about something, when you just sat there on a night, and not watching something, which now I've noticed that I have to actually watch something to go to sleep, because if I don't fall asleep watching something, then I fall asleep thinking, and if I think, it's not good. So yeah, sleep problems is a thing that a lot of autistic people do have and do suffer with, and that's not good either, because I don't know how many times, I'm not joking, this is going to sound stupid, but I've had days off school because I've not had a night's sleep. I have had days off school, I've had days off college because I've not had a night's sleep, and me on no sleep is not a person to be around. I am the moodiest, everything bothers me. Everything bothers me if I've not had sleep. So you don't really want to be around me, to be fair. Obviously sleep affects people in different ways, but it massively does affect me if I don't get a good night's sleep. So yeah, there we go. Another thing, number 5, addictive personalities. I think people with autism are more likely to get addicted to things than a neurotypical person. I don't know if this is a trait here, or if this is just me just thinking and presuming, or just being me, because I have a massive addictive personality, but it does make sense for an autistic person to have an addictive personality due to the fact that they get fixated and obsessed with things, and I get obsessed with things, and it turns into an addiction. I do think autistic people are prone to be more addicted to things, like obviously bad things like alcohol, drugs, etc. But for me, it's quite simple, as in I have an addictive personality when it comes to food. I know I could very easily have an addictive personality to other things. However, because autistic people get so obsessed with things and fixated on things, and things that, like certain types of food, I do feel like it is prone to an addictive personality, so it is something to look out for. I was just editing the video that I'm putting out. So obviously it's a different day, but I feel like I need to explain myself a little bit more because like it didn't really, I kind of just gave it a bit brief. So basically, anyway, what I meant by addiction for me is I have when I talk about like food, I basically have an addiction to counting calories, and it is quite an addiction, and I think it can get quite addictive with anyone. It can be quite, thing is it's never gotten dangerous at all for me, but it could do, like, so that's why I wanted to put it in, because that's, when I said addiction, I don't just mean like drug addiction, alcohol. It can literally be so many things that people can get addicted to, and I do think that autistic people, because we do have obsessive personalities, we can get addicted more easily. So yeah, like I said with me, I have an addiction to counting calories. I binge eat a lot. Well, I won't say a lot, but anyway, I binge eat when I'm feeling upset and like depressed, or go through like a depressive period and binge eat. But then to gain control in my life, I then start to count calories, and it is addictive to the point where I will be sat in class at college and I'm putting into my calculator how many, because obviously I do maths, so I'm not allowed my phone out, so I'll be sat there. Instead, everybody else is doing blooming a squared plus b squared equals c squared and all that malark, and I'm sat there adding up all my calories. So yeah, it can, that's what I mean by addiction, addictive personality, and that's kind of an example. If I didn't need food to change my mood, so when I have a meltdown or when I get upset I eat food, like comfort, if I wasn't that, then it could have got quite dangerous for me, because I am also a control freak and I need control. I need to gain control of a situation to like everything in my life, and the calories is kind of a sense of control for me. So yeah, that's why I wanted to come on here and kind of explain what I meant by addiction, because I don't mean like all autistic people are going to be addicted to alcohol and drugs, blah blah blah. No, I just mean addictive personalities. That's what I meant. Okay. This next point is something that I have actually spoke about in another video, which is masking. There is ways to find out if someone, or signs to figure out if you're masking, if you're not masking, if your child's masking, etc, etc. It is more common in girls, however boys do it. I've done a whole video on it, so I'm not really going to go through what masking is. Way to find out if you are masking is exhaustion, not being able to do things after being in social situations, being exhausted, being burnt out, and basically just not having energy to really speak to people. And it can cause meltdowns in the long run. It can cause a lot of things. So it is something to look out for after being in a social situation or being in like a intense social environment. So yeah, I have made like a list of like 20 things, but I think I'm just going to cut the video here, because it is quite long already and I don't really want to carry on doing like 100 different things that you're probably going to forget about. I'll be better doing a part 2. So yeah, see you next Sunday for a brand new video. Bye.